It's bullshit.
OBJ is DOA. Welcome back to Fantasy Sports Island. My guys are back. Johnny Ballgame in the bottom left.
What's up?
Sir Poops a lot in the bottom right.
Look at Sir Poops with the gun.
And Fantasy Rolls-Royce up top on the left. And ladies and gentlemen, he's got a message for you. YouTube, he's drinking Beck's, non-alcoholic. It's not beer. Stop flagging us.
We'd like to thank our sponsors for alcoholic beer.
I'm a Fantasy
Reaper. That's
Reaper.
Beck's non-alcoholic beer.
Non-alcoholic.
Zero.
All right, we got a good show for you today, guys. We're going to roll through our breakdowns of the AFC and NFC South. We got unveiling of our top 10 quarterback rankings. We got some poop list. So we got some stuff to get to. But first, we want you to hit that like button, subscribe, comment. It's good for the algorithm. Let's get our views up. People need to see this show. If you like what you see, please hit that like button. All right, guys? So you guys ready to roll?
Let's do it.
All right, here we go. News and notes around the NFL. All right, guys, news and notes around the NFL. And our first story is the Washington football team, and this is my favorite story of the year. This is music to my ears. Quarterback Kyle Allen told reporters on Tuesday that running back Antonio Gibson is being pushed into a similar role as Christian McCaffrey of the Carolina Panthers.
What?
Antonio? Okay, Tony.
Everybody wants to be used as McCaffrey. I mean, it's bullshit. Look, he's awesome. The kid's awesome, though. He is awesome. So all they're saying is like, oh, we're going to dump him an extra pass or two. I still have him ranked pretty high, but it doesn't change it much for me. Kind of excited to hear it, but it doesn't change it much.
John, tell me, does it excite you at all?
It excites me a little bit, but it really just kind of solidifies what I already thought was going to happen, right? So I thought he was going to get a bunch more touches. I thought he was going to get a lot more passes. I already have him in my top 15, probably closer to top 10, getting there. I might bump him up a couple notches for it. I like Tony, I'm not overwhelmingly that more excited because I was already pretty excited about him.
All right. I seem to be super excited, like way more than you guys about this. But Royce, are you with me?
I am. Yes. You know, it's funny. I was doing a mock draft before we got on here. My 8-team league.
Of course you are.
Of course I was. And second round came up, and it was Eckler or Gibson. And after reading that, I chose Gibson for sure. Yeah, I'm
nice.
I'm on board. Let's go.
Nice.
I had him last year too, so I got a little.
I had him too. Giddy up! If he's going to get even half of the passing down work that he didn't get last year, this man is a top 5 running back. Now, I'm not saying he's going to finish in the top 5, but he has potential.
Yeah, I feel like you just did.
He definitely has potential too. You know what? I'm going to call it. He's a top 8 running back.
Call it.
He's a top 8 running back. I'm calling it right now.
Boom.
That means his first round, and I'm really considering. I got the 9th pick in our draft. I'm really considering him at 9. I'm telling you right now.
I would consider him there. I would.
All right, I'll mark it down.
Actually, I don't think that's crazy.
I'm just drafting on this show to get advice from all you guys. Sorry to interrupt, but the only reason why I have no clue what I'm doing, and you guys fucking know it. I'm just taking notes from you 3 so I can have a good draft later. That's all it is.
I like where your head's at.
That sounds like more poop coming from poop.
Yeah, a little bit.
All right, on to the next story. This one's crazy. The Seattle Seahawks signed safety Jamal Adams to a 4-year, $70 million extension.
Ooh.
Man. Tony, you texted me earlier and said that he got screwed on that one, huh?
Yeah. You know, I think he's going to do a good job, and it should probably pull him out of his bankruptcy. Maybe. We'll see. But yeah, not so big. It's good. They needed that. I think they needed him. I couldn't tell you about the money if it's going to, make or break that team, but at least they solidified him. I would have gone for it too if I was the owners. I'd be like, let's get him signed. And I think they were planning that for a long time now, and they got it done. So good for them.
It's not a huge fantasy story for our purposes, but it does make you wonder, does that bump up the Seattle Seahawks defense? Because that's all we really care about here, right? John, do you think that bumps up the D for you?
It doesn't bump it up, but it sure stops me from bumping it down if they hadn't signed him, because I was a little bit worried he might end up holding out if they hadn't signed him. So it doesn't bump it up, but it makes me go, all right, still going to be pretty good.
Yeah, that's a good point. You're not going to drop him now for sure. What do you think, Mr. Rolls-Royce?
No, yeah. I like it. Pay the man. I mean, obviously I don't know much about him until, a few days ago. But they show the tape going along with, he just signed for X amount of money. God, he's good, man.
He's really good.
Wow.
Yeah.
Good. Yeah. Pay him. I like
it. They traded for him too. So they gave up capital to get him. So they
They were definitely going to re-sign him. The only thing that I'm thinking about is if you're a Russell Wilson guy and you want him to, let Russ cook and all, you don't want the D to be great. And if he wouldn't have signed there, maybe the D sucks and keeps him in shootouts. I don't know. Other than that, it's not a big deal to me.
I think Russ proved last year, though, when he has to cook too much, he wears out, and he didn't do as great down the stretch. So I'm okay with him being a little more balanced, having a little bit better defense, because I think his percentage gets better.
Yeah, absolutely.
Not throwing for as much, but he'll throw, in our league, percentage counts, right? So completions and incompletions, and he started throwing a lot of incompletions towards the end of the year last year. So,
and I think Chris Carson's value goes up a little bit too. I mean, as far as the defense being better
running game is better. You're right.
I like him better this year than I ever have for some reason, and I don't know why that is. Like, I really don't know why, but
they're going to run the ball more. They're definitely going to run the ball more. You'll see it. Watch. They will. Absolutely.
All right, and then we got a quick clip. This one's not going to take us too long, but the Tim Tebow show is no mo. The tight end was released by the Jaguars on Tuesday. This guy had a chance to be a tight end 10 years ago when he wanted to be a quarterback, when he wasn't a quarterback. So, John, do you shed a tear for this man?
No, not even one bit. This is the biggest non-news story I've ever heard in my life. Nobody's surprised. If you saw the clip of him trying to block somebody, where he basically turned his back, it was awful. It was akin to Kajana Carter taking a knee in the field on his rookie year. If you guys remember that.
I do remember that.
Yeah. It was bad. Yeah.
It's Tim Tebow. He pisses me off. The guy wants to play baseball. He wants to play tight end. Look, man, baseball.
Make a decision.
I mean, but these are skill sets that you have to work on. You can't just jump into baseball. Michael Jordan proved that. And you can't just jump in and play tight end now because I'm a big guy. It doesn't work like that. It takes tight ends years to hone their craft. So I think he's a fool. Anyways, I'm done with Tim Tebow. He's gone. Let's move on.
Good.
Dak Prescott back at practice 2 days in a row now. Seems to be fine. May even see some action in this weekend's game. Giddy up, right, Johnny Ballgame?
Oh, dude. Nobody's more excited than me. I love that guy. Love him. Can't wait to have him on my team this year.
Oh, man. I heard that.
So, I mean, are we drafting him higher now because we know he's healthy, or doesn't change?
I already had him ranked high, so I mean, quarterback rankings. I had him super high anyway. So I'm going running backs. First couple, I'm just telling everybody I'm going running backs first couple. The quarterback's deep, so I'm certainly not going to go reach for Dak and miss out on running backs because I don't think they're as deep.
Makes sense. And then our last story is a quick one. I found it funny. Travis Kelce shaved off his freaking beard.
Oh, man.
And everyone's going crazy. Oh, my God, he shaved his beard. He's going to suck now, and he looks like a 50-year-old man. Did he just ruin everything? Royce.
He did. Like the Wizard of Oz, right? You don't want to see the guy behind the curtain there, right? I don't want to see that. I want my 25-year-old Kelce when he's 45 looking like he's 25, right? It doesn't matter. I mean, this guy he could have, I don't know, coming out of his head. he's so good, guy. I mean, he's so good. It doesn't matter what he looks like. Pick him
Worried.
first round. Go.
Tony's worried. Is he like
worried.
Samson? It's the strengths in his hair.
Yeah, I mean, I think it may have taken away some of that mojo. You know, I always bring up this example, which is really cheesy, and you guys can rip on me, but it's the truth. Back in the early '90s, I was this massive Lenny Kravitz fan. Loved Lenny Kravitz. Followed him around. Had naked or pictures of him, and I loved the guy, right? And he cut his dreads, and his music started sucking. The lyrics were worse. He was selling it to commercials. Never been the same guy. Then he goes and does like Hunger Games or something. I'm like, this used to be my idol in like 91, 92. This hippie dude rocking out. I'm telling you, don't cut your hair. If you're doing well, you don't cut the hair. Like I'm doing nothing with my life. So right now I'm trying to grow the beard to see if maybe something will change. And if things get better, I'm never shaving again.
I think that's the way to go.
Thank you. Yeah.
I like the analogy there. That's good.
Yeah. You're such a big Lenny Kravitz fan.
Yeah.
I used to be in the 90s. Yeah, I was a huge fan.
I didn't know you had naked pictures of him either.
Yeah.
I don't.
Chuck was like that with Michael Bolton, so he can tell you too about how.
Oh, he was?
Had his hair. Yeah.
Not only Michael Bolton, but Ben Roethlisberger. Don't forget, guys.
Oh, right.
AFC South Divisional Breakdown.
All right, we're on to our breakdowns. And the first one is the AFC South. Tennessee Titans, Indianapolis Colts, Jacksonville Jaguars, Houston Texans. That's your order of finish predicted by Vegas. Who is better to talk about the Tennessee Titans than the man from Tennessee himself, Johnny Ballgame? Hit me,
Talk
brother.
about it. All right, so I love the Titans this year. At least second round of playoffs, maybe third. I really love the Titans this year. I actually think they're better than they were last year. So Tannehill, I've already gone on record in this particular podcast as saying that I believe he's a top 10 quarterback. I think he might even be closer to a top 5. He actually finished 9th last year, fantasy points. And I don't think most people know that. And they threw, what I read, they threw less than most people, than like 84% of the league. And he still ended up as a top 10 quarterback. That shows you he's accurate, shows you he's got a bunch of touchdowns. And what I don't think people know is that he's underrated as a runner. He had 7 running touchdowns last year. So he didn't really get much credit when you talk about that. I'm a little nervous that Arthur Smith left to go be the coach of Atlanta, but their new coordinator, and I can't remember the dude's name, studied under Arthur Smith, so they're basically running the same damn offense. Running back, it's the king. It's Derrick Henry. Yeah. Yeah, who? Never heard of that guy. Am I nervous that he had 2,000 yards last year and most everybody who's ever had 2,000 yards falls off? Yeah, I am. I was doing some research on it, and Barry Sanders had the least fall off from 2,000, and his total was 1,400. So that shows you there's a dramatic drop after a 2,000-yard season. I don't think he's going to drop that much. I would say he'll be in the 1,600 rank. He's still young. He's still strong. The guy gets stronger as games go on. I think they'll start using him a little bit more in the passing game even. So I really like him. He'll definitely finish in the top 5 running backs. I don't think he'll finish number 1 this year, but I think he'll finish top 5, which is a pretty bold prediction after a 2,000-yard season, after what I just told you guys. Although it's King Henry, so how bold can that be? All right, wide receivers, like this group a lot. A.J. Brown is my guy. I think he's a stud. He was 10th in the league last season with 70 catches, 1,075 yards, and he missed 2 games. So if you would have put those 2 games in, he's probably over 80 catches and 1,200 yards at least. At 11 touchdowns, I think he'll increase that a little bit this year. And he was really strong in the beginning. He trailed a little bit, but then kind of came back too. So just look at his numbers. He's really pretty even keel. He's not one of those guys that's going to get you a bunch one week and then none the next week. He gets points every week, and you got to like that. Julio, and I know Royce loves him some Julio. I know he loves him. Here's what I say. If Julio gets back to 70% of Julio, that's still better than 90% of the receivers in the league. So I think he'll get back to about 80% of his old self. I think he's going to take pressure off of AJ, which is going to increase AJ's numbers. Will I draft Julio? Probably not, unless it's like a late round flyer and stash him. But I still think he'll get some fantasy points this year. I wouldn't be surprised 800, 900 yards. And here's something most people don't know. Josh Reynolds from the Rams actually came over, and he's the third receiver on the Titans team. I said, this is a good receiving core when you got Brown, Julio, and Josh Reynolds.
I didn't know that. Thank you, John.
Yeah. So, and I think he'll be okay as the third wide receiver. He's not going to blow anybody away, but he's just pretty good. And he's started to catch a lot more inside. I think he'll take over the slot receiver in that role. And I think he'll do pretty well. Firster's the tight end. I like him. I think he'll get 50 for 500. I think that's probably where you're at with him. Probably a top 15 tight end. They don't throw to him that much. I think he'll have a handful of touchdowns. I think if they'd use him in the red zone a little bit more, they'd be better off. Defense is just okay. They've got some good deep backs, but they really need pass rush, man. They were 29th in passing yards allowed. That's because they only had 19 sacks. So for me, they got to get that better. They're not great at stopping the run either. They were 19th. So I think the defense has to improve. I think they will. They put a lot of draft capital into that. And overall, though, I like this team, and I think there's going to be some fantasy studs come out of this team.
It's funny. I was just thinking the other day as I was looking at the Rams, what the hell happened to Josh Reynolds? I honestly had no idea, and now I know. So appreciate that, John. That was excellent. You guys have any thoughts?
I like everything that he said, and I agree. I think Tannehill is actually going to be throwing more, and I don't think he's going to be running like 7 touchdowns this year. But he's not going to need to. I think he's going to have more yardage passing this year. I think it's going to be remarkable. But other than that, I agree with everything you're saying for sure.
Yeah, John, I like it too. I like what you said about the defense too, because I love teams that defenses they're going to be a little better, but they're not going to be like a stellar top 5 or 10.
Right.
That means your offense is going to be on the field. That means more points for your fantasy team. I mean, that's I love that. So everything was great, spot on. Except Julio.
All right, thanks, John. We're going to move on to the Indianapolis Colts. Sir Poops a lot.
Well, this is an interesting team. I'm gonna go right to the O-line and the running game. I'm gonna skip right over the QB situation for now. I'm a little leery with Jonathan Taylor. Now, I love the guy. I had him in 2 leagues last year. He saved me. He was kind of like I think I drafted him like a 3rd running back, and he saved my ass in a number of situations with injuries. Next thing you know, I'm starting him for half the season. He had impressive numbers, for his age. What was it, like over 11 or 12 touchdowns, I think, 1,200 yards. He was amazing after week 10 going into the wild card.
Down the stretch.
Had ass. And I think that's where everybody's gauging him on. Now, I was telling you guys before we got started, I was watching ESPN, and, they all have him at like 7 and 8. And I'm not saying that he's not capable of that at all. He's awesome. But he's got a few guys behind him too. That's the way the coaching staff is. They're going to be getting those guys a ball. I mean, Marlon Mack's not a slouch. And Naeem Hines, or that guy catches some balls. So if they're going to throw to that kid, then you're taking away some production from Taylor. Now, as overall, if I was a Colts fan, I'd be happier than a pig and poop. But as a fantasy standpoint, it makes me a little bit nervous for the production of Taylor. So to be quite frank, I don't really know where I would draft him, but I don't think I'd take him in the top 10 like some of these other guys are saying. But they also have a badass O-line. So their offensive line has been good for a few years, and I think most of the guys have returned. So they should be pretty strong on the offensive line. So we'll see what happens with that. I'm just more concerned about the quarterback, situation. Again, I'll get to that. Let's talk about the wide receivers. Pittman got hurt last year. Even Paris, I think, too, is kind of like injury prone. Those guys are fairly healthy right now. I like those dudes. I like the wide receivers. Wentz is also kind of into the slot guy thing. I think for, what do we say, back in, 17, 18, his good year. Oh, when he was with Reich, as a matter of fact, when he was with the coach. Back then, they used the slot a hell of a lot more. And that's Paris. That's Paris Campbell. He's going to take over that slot position, control it. I think that for them, that might be pretty good. I don't know. Throwing to Paris up the middle like that, it might do something with him and Reich and maybe rejuvenate and Wentz's career and help the team. That's the goal of bringing him in, right? That's what they're hoping for. So as long as his foot heals up and he doesn't walk like there's something wrong with him, then he should get right back into that, maybe do okay. But I'm really talking out of my tail right now because I don't really know what's going to happen with those guys. T.Y. Hilton is doing really well with in camp with the rookies or the younger guys. But I don't buy T.Y. Hilton anymore either. He's 47, 48 years old. He is getting up there. He's still got some speed, but I don't really buy
How old
that.
is he really? How old is he?
I don't know. He's not super old, but what? He's
I don't think he's that old.
30s, isn't he?
Stand by. I'll find out for you.
He's got to be like 34 or something.
I bet he is not as old as we think he is.
You might be right. That's the way a lot of it is in football. Or
yeah.
Turns
but
56.
yeah, I
31.
just don't.
He's 31.
Oh,
31.
it's not that bad. Yeah, I'm 20 years older than that guy. But let's talk about somebody I do like, and that's Mo Alley Cox. I love that kid. He's a huge, big, bulky tight end. He's very consistent, efficient, and if he can mesh with whoever the quarterback is, which it's going to be Wentz. Wentz will be in there. If he stays healthy, I'm going back to Wentz again. Carson Wentz. If he stays healthy, I don't know. I like Mo Alley Cox. He had some big games last year. We'll see how that goes. Are they going to get him the ball? Are they going to break another foot? Am I going to just keep rambling about a team I really don't like? Who knows? But other than that, where do you guys have their defense? Their defense is decent. They lost a few key guys and got a few key guys back in, and also some young dudes. I look at their defenses maybe being a 12, which isn't too bad. So all in all, I mean, that's all I got to say. I think it comes down to the quarterback, and that's why I didn't start with quarterbacks, because I don't really trust Wentz. But if Wentz is going to make a comeback, this is the time, because he's got Reich and he's got some stuff set up for him to do what he was doing in 2017. Yeah. So we'll see.
He's got some weapons. He definitely has some weapons. There's no doubt. And the offense was good last year. I mean, the line's good. Jonathan Taylor's a beast. There's no question. What do you think, John? You think the Colts, are they going to win some games? Or what's going to go on there?
So I thought Tony was spot on with everything he just said. I feel the same exact way about the Colts. I think a lot of people are super high on them, and I'm not. I don't know that Wentz is going to prove that he's worth who he is. The guy can't stay healthy for anything, and he lost his mojo last year. So let's see if he can get his mojo back. If he stays healthy, then I think Mo Alley Cox is actually a really great pick, because Wentz loves his tight ends. Think about what he did there with Ertz and whoever that guy is from last year. I'm with him on Taylor. I think there's too many mouths to feed that backfield. Now, if they end up trading Mack or they let Mack go, I'll be a little bit higher on Taylor. I wouldn't draft him if I was 7 or 8, though. Just wouldn't do it.
Royce, you got anything to add?
No, I'm staying away from Colts, all of them. I just don't trust them, the team, and anything. Not that I dislike them. I'm sure they're all nice people. I think there's just a lot more value out there I can get. So.
I hear you.
People. Also, if you could just do some magical editing, because Tony, you got him on video saying, I like Mo Alley Cox. If you can just it's going to have him saying, I like Mo Cox. You know what I mean? And I think that'll be pretty fun.
Why do you say his middle name anyways? Wouldn't you just say his first and last name?
He loves him some Mo Cox.
All right.
Lenny Kravitz, Mo Cox. Come on, get a poster.
Right. Tony, I appreciate you taking on the Colts, because I agree they're a boring ass team to talk about.
They really are.
They are.
I tried. I was stretching that if you didn't notice.
No, you did good.
I'm gonna be honest. My team that it's coming up with the Jaguars, I'm bored out of my mind talking about them too. So I'll try.
Wait till Royce talks about Houston.
Wait till mine.
Yeah, we'll get to that in a minute. Let's get this Jaguar shit out of the way real quick. But yeah, So the Jaguars convinced Urban Meyer to come on out of the booth and stay away from college football, come bring his big spread offense into the NFL. That sounds exciting for fantasy purposes when you say spread offense, but I'm not overly excited about too many Jaguars, to be honest. We'll start with the quarterback position. Everyone loves Mr. Trevor Lawrence, whatever, beautiful hair and all that. But he's a good quarterback. In dynasty leagues, go and get Trevor Lawrence. He's going to be a stud for many, many years. But for this year in redraft leagues, I'm a little shaky on him, to be honest. I think he's being a little bit overdrafted. He's quarterback 14 coming off the board, and that's ahead of more established guys like Matt Ryan, Kirk Cousins, Baker Mayfield, and my boy Ben Roethlisberger. I'm not drafting him. I'm not drafting ahead of those guys. No way. Now, the guy isn't Justin Herbert last year, who came in the league with established superstar in Keenan Allen and solid complementary players like Mike Williams and Hunter Henry and Austin Eckler. He's coming in throwing to DJ Chark and Laviska Shenault and old man Marvin Jones. So I'm not super excited about the wide receiving core. Although I do like DJ Chark. I think at best he's like a wide receiver too. Shenault's more of a gadget player. And let's face it, Marvin Jones is a corpse. His best days are done for sure. Colin Johnson, Philip Dorsett, rookie Jalen Camp. Those are all mediocre depth wide receivers at best, and all are undraftable. Now at the tight end,
Philip Dorsett.
Philip Dorsett.
Wow.
Yeah.
I didn't even know he was in the league.
Yeah, they're super deep. The tight end position is a flipping joke. They have Chris Manhertz and James O'Shaughnessy. I'm going to move on. This is why I don't like Trevor Lawrence at his ADT. My
man hurts just listening to it.
Yeah, I mean, his ADP is bloated and his arsenal is weak, okay, at best. Now, the one thing that does intrigue me about the Jaguars is the running back position. So Meyer invented back in the day the hybrid running back wide receiver position for Percy Harvin in Florida. And I could see him turning Travis Etienne into that hybrid position. I think Etienne is the most explosive back in the draft this year. And if he's unleashed, he could be fantasy gold at his current ADP of running back 23. Now, if I take him ahead of Myles Gaskin, sorry, John, I'd take him ahead of Miles Sanders, Kareem Hunt, Chase Edmonds, all of whom are going ahead of him or around the same ADP as he does. I do have concerns that James Robinson is still there and he could be the lead back, and I have no interest in drafting James Robinson. But if the ATM machine could bankroll your entire fantasy football season if ETN becomes the lead back and the guy that catches 80 balls, okay? I have nothing to say about the Jaguars defense except stay away. Other than that, I'm done with the Jaguars. What you guys think?
I think that was pretty spot on.
Loved it.
Yeah. I don't know if I would take ATN over Gaskin, but everybody else on that list, I probably would. Maybe not Huntley, because Huntley gets enough catches out of the backfield to be fantasy viable. But I do worry about Robinson getting all the carries and him just getting passes. So,
yep.
By the way, Robinson's on my poop list. So, just so you know, I do not believe in him at all.
Another boring team on the way, and this one is the worst. I'm sorry, Royce, that you got tasked with the Houston Texans, but
I'll be back in a little bit, you guys.
No, John, it's going to take about 2 minutes.
Oh, okay, good point.
Yeah, don't get comfy because we're moving on here. Look, we all know what's going on with Deshaun Watson. I don't want to get too much into it. I mean, he met with the FBI today. Actually, it's never a good thing. But he's played his last down in Houston. He's not playing this year. He's undraftable, guys. He's not going to play this year.
I don't see how.
With everything going on, remember too, the NFL can step in at any time. They don't have to wait for the police or the cops or anything to tell them.
I'm surprised they haven't yet.
I know.
I really am.
And if you remember, they stepped in with Ray Rice and Kareem Hunt before anything with the legal system. But they also had tape of those incidents too, so that's a little different at this point. So
yeah, I mean, they've only got 45 eyewitnesses.
Yeah, exactly.
This one, so
right. So who's up? And Tyrod Taylor, don't poke me in the rib or the lung with a needle and ruin my career. And Wally Pitt me for Justin Herbert, right? Wide receiver Brandon Cooks. He's I don't know. I never was a fan of this guy. This guy can't stay in one place. This is what, his second year there. That's probably 2 more than he's been in any other place. He's been. There's no one throwing him the ball. I don't even know who the tight ends are. I didn't even care to look. The only thing maybe in a 12 or 14 man league's a little bit of buzz for Philip Lindsay. You know, he was decent with the Broncos. He looked like he's going to be the head guy there ahead of David Johnson. He got a little buzz last weekend. He had a nice little game. Maybe in a 12 or 14 man league, but if there's anyone else available, maybe some guy that's going to be hurt for 8 weeks, I would take them over anyone on Houston. They're a dumpster fire, guys. The defense is terrible. Everyone's left. Ironically, the first game of the year is Jacksonville at Houston, the battle for the 2022 first place pick. Right? Their over under is 4. For you degenerates out there, take the under. They play Jacksonville twice, and they do play the Jets. So I'm a little higher on the Jets than most people. I mean, the Jets are going to be maybe a 5-6 win team. So just stay away. Stay away from this team.
I mean, the good news about that first week is one of those 2 teams is going to be 1-0.
That's true, unless they tie, which I can see.
Yeah, unless they tie. Which actually could happen.
I can see a 3-3 tie.
0-0 tie.
Yeah, 0-0 tie. Yeah, take the under.
Let's call it the poop bowl because that's what it is. Really, it's the poop bowl. The Texans, I've said it before and I'll say it again. They went out in free agency and signed every mediocre player you could possibly think of offensively. They're a bunch of mediocrity, and that doesn't win in the NFL. They have not one superstar. After Deshaun Watson, they have not one superstar. It's going to be ugly.
Yeah. You know what's crazy
away.
Yeah. Brandon Cooks does put up numbers.
But he doesn't have anyone to throw him the ball.
He doesn't have anybody to throw him. Tyrod Taylor is he's already washed up, and he wasn't good when he wasn't.
Yeah. So, Johnny, let's see if any Texans come up in the top 10 quarterback rankings that we're about to unveil.
My guess
Spoiler alert.
Bottom 10.
Yeah.
They're not.
Top 10 QB rankings.
We're going to unveil our top 10 quarterback rankings. We're going to go through each player, why we picked them, why we like them, why we don't, blah, blah, blah. Also discuss a little bit of the differences of the rankings between the 4 of us, because there are some vast differences. And our consensus top 10 rankings are a little different than the norm. So here we go. And we're going to go from top to bottom, okay? We're going to start with our number 1 quarterback. And just like everyone else, it's Patrick Mahomes. I would like to say myself, though, that I did not rank Patrick Mahomes 1. I ranked him 2. But everyone else, you guys ranked him 1, and that's fine. He's the most consistent.
Who'd you rank first? Roethlisberger?
I'll get to that in a minute. But yeah, what do you guys think? Tell me, Tony,
why is number 1?
Why is Patrick Mahomes number 1 for you?
I don't know. Why is he number 2 for you? Because he's dominant, man. The kid's amazing. He's gonna put up the most points. He's Patrick Mahomes.
And
he does it all.
I'm going to make this prediction. He's going to have the best fantasy season he's ever had this year.
Ooh.
He did not have a great season last year, right? Like he was pretty great, but it wasn't his best season, and I know he was pissed off about it. And I guarantee he's coming back better and stronger than he ever has.
Well, here's why I didn't rank him number 1, and I ranked him number 2. I mean, give me a break. It's because Mahomes hasn't been the number 1 quarterback in our league in the last 2 years. And he's quietly lost a couple weapons. Not like Sammy Watkins.
Sammy Watkins, for
I understand, but now that means that someone else is going to have to get in the slot there. And that's a guy like Pringle or Nicole Hardman. So I just think, and I'm getting a little concerned about Kelsey. He's getting up there. He's 32 now. At some point, there's going to be a drop-off.
Is it the beard? Is it because he shaved his beard?
It's because he shaved the beard. But that is why, just a little, I dropped Mahomes. It's not a big deal. You guys don't make a big deal out of it.
Could you have one?
We'll get to that.
Oh, man,
I need to know.
You
said we were starting with the top and going down. You got to tell us who you had as your top.
Well, because when we get to the player that I put number 1, I will mention it, but I want to save it.
Okay.
Man, I love it. I got you guys on edge. This is awesome.
It's intriguing.
Royce,
yes.
Why? Why Mahomes?
He's the best player in the league.
Thank you. I agree. He is.
That's it.
He is. All right. Our second overall quarterback, and this is ballsy for us, Dak Prescott. John, we all know you love Dak Prescott. And you probably put him – I'd have thought you put him 1, but you didn't. You put him 2.
Put him 2. Yeah.
So
I didn't put him as number 1 because he's not better than Mahomes, but I put him as number 2. He almost is.
Tell me why you love him.
Dude, look at his weapons. Look at his ability. I mean, he's just – here's all you need to know about how great he is how much Dallas fell off when he wasn't there. All the same weapons, all the same great people. They couldn't do anything, couldn't win games, couldn't do anything, couldn't move that offense. You put him back in, it's 2,000 more yards a season than what they had. I mean, he's just unbelievable. He's accurate. He can move if he has to. He doesn't take off and run stupidly, though. And, you know, the accident last year was just a freak accident. I think it was on a sack or something. Yeah, he's just – his weapons alone make you go, the guy's going to be top 3 minimum. Definitely top 2 for me.
Royce, why do you love Dak Prescott?
Before he got hurt last year, he was the number 2 quarterback. He was number 2 guy. Point.
Do you know who the number 1 guy was?
Your guy who you had number 1? No?
Yeah, we'll get to that.
I'm just a little worried, you know, about his ankle and his shoulder. I'm sure he's fine. It's going to take a couple games, I think, for him to get his speed back under him again. I don't see a big first couple game craziness. A lot of handoffs, I think, little short passes. Once he gets his flow going, he'll get back into it. But yeah, he wasn't my top. He was number 2 for me, but definitely top 5.
Yeah, he was your number 3. He was John's number 2. He was Tony's number 3, and he was my number 5. And so it doesn't sound like why is he 2? Because only one guy picked him 2. But because we were so different in our rankings of the top 10, he got the most votes next to Mahomes, so that's why he's number 2. Which brings me to my number 3 for the consensus. That's Josh Allen. So Royce, you had him at 2, and I had him at 3. So we both agree that he's a stud.
Right, I like him.
Yeah, I think it's continuity. Like, he's got the same weapons as he did last year, and they added Manny Sanders, and they have the same coordinator, same offense. I like what he can do. He's just, and they're going to sling it. They don't run the ball. So I like him. All right. We're going to the quarterback, number 4. And this is ballsy as well, but we all love him. Justin Herbert. Tell me why, Johnny Ballgame, why Justin Herbert is our number 4.
Because he's got the weapons. And I think, like I've said before, I think he's one of those rookies that starts day 1. And he started accidentally day 1. And then just never looked back. And I think he's going to be even better this year. He'll actually have an off season to prepare. He didn't have that last year. He's got weapons galore. I'm a little bit worried about Keenan Allen getting hurt. I don't know why, but it's just this feeling I have. And I hope I'm wrong on that. Eckler out of the backfield. He's got the coaching staff that they just put in there made Drew Brees look fantastic for a couple of years, and Drew Brees hasn't had the best arm in the last couple of years. Herbert's got a better arm. He's just as accurate. I think he's going to just be dynamite. So I'm excited about him.
I don't need to explain myself. I already told you my bold prediction was 40 touchdowns and 5,000 yards. Do you guys have anything to add about Justin Herbert that you like about the offense?
A little, I guess. I mean, I actually have him ranked number 2. I didn't a month ago.
Yeah.
You know, I rank him number 2 because of, like, basically what Chuck's is saying. I think he's going to put up a lot of numbers, or high numbers. But what I loved about him before, and I'm going back to, like, an on-field kind of presence and stature and demeanor, as I'm not insulting his intelligence. He's obviously very bright, and he was able to take a stressful situation as a young guy and make it all happen. But he seems incredibly coachable. Like, dude, this is what you need to do. Can you please make this happen? He'd be like, okay, coach, let me pop this zit first. And touchdown. You're like, and then he'd walk off the field, sometimes almost like looking like he was in shock. And they cut to him on the bench, and he's just like, okay, did I do it right? I mean, he is, wow, phenomenal. Just I still cannot believe you're taking some kid. I had no idea he was going to do that. And taking this kid and being like, okay, you know, this is what we need you to do. Okay, I'll do it. And he did it. Amazing. So that just keeps resonating with me. And I'm like, he's just going to get better. He's just going to get better. So I'm stoked, man. I'm excited to see this kid this year. For sure.
I think we all are. Definitely, he's at the top of our list for sure. Like at number 4, that's pretty high, especially against the industry. Most people have him lower, like 7 or 8. So
yeah.
Now, my number 1 guy, and I totally disagree with all you at where we ended up ranking him, is Kyler Murray at 5. He is my number 1, and the reasons are simple. He's got just incredible weapons. He can rush for 1,000 yards. He can rush for 10 TDs. He's accurate. So if you play in leagues that reward you for efficiency, he's going to do that too. I don't understand why you guys don't see what I see. Maybe I'm just missing something. I don't know. But the industry has Kyler Murray as the number 1 or 2 quarterback as well. So I want to know why he's not your number 1 or 2.
I think his game is predictable. I don't think he's anything overly. You know what he reminds me of? A little bit of like a Michael Vick. I think he has a little bit better arm, or he's a little more precise with his throws. But I don't think he's hard to figure out. So towards the end of the season, there was a few games where, for me, watching him, I was like, uh-oh. I know he got a little bit banged up, a little tweaked. I understand that.
Shoulder injury.
To me, it's sort of like I noticed some defenses, and unfortunately, I can't name exactly which ones right now, but some defenses that seem like they sort of had his number, and he was getting a little frantic. Now, maybe it was just, again, he's banged up. He started off like gangbusters. He needed to win a few games. It's crunch time, the expectations, whatever. And maybe shit happens. But I lost a little confidence in him, and I have a feeling that some defenses, some smart coaches are going to be all over his ass. That's how I feel.
Royce.
I couldn't agree more.
Weeks 1 through 11. Tell us, who was the number 1 quarterback last year in fantasy football?
Ben Roethlisberger.
Kyler Murray.
Murray.
Then he hurt his shoulder, and that's why he dropped. And he stopped running. And that's a big part of his game. You take away his run, of course, he's predictable. I think if he's healthy, he's good. He just can't not be a top 3 quarterback. I mean, he's so good. John, have I convinced you yet to bump him up? Not even one spot.
No. Nope.
Fine.
Did I even have him in my top 10? Yeah, I did. I had him ranked 8th, and I said begrudgingly.
Begrudgingly. Which brings up a nice point, because I feel the same way that you feel about Kyler Murray with Lamar Jackson, who is our number 6.
Yeah.
Tell me why, Johnny, you liked Lamar Jackson over Kyler Murray.
I think he's only going to get better. I think he's a better runner than Kyler Murray. And
he is.
I think he's actually a better thrower than Kyler Murray. He just doesn't do it very often. So I think he's taller, he's bigger, he's more able to withstand the punishment that he gets. And I'm telling you right now, Lamar Jackson's going to have a comeback again this year, and that's why I've got him ranked number 3.
Royce, what do you say, man?
I like Lamar too, but are we still going off his MVP year a couple years ago? That's something I'm a little worried about. Last year wasn't his best year. Who was he throwing?
I'm trying to see where he was ranked last year. I'm going to look in our fantasy league.
I'll tell you who he's throwing it to. St. Joseph's Hospital. He's just blowing receivers out of there because they're more healthy than the damn ones he's got.
I know. That's the only thing that scares me. I mean, he's still got his legs and he still has Andrews, but I think just looking at his receiving core, I mean, I would just drop him there. Well, he can't run every down. I mean, he can. He's got a good running back, so that's going to help him. But he dropped.
I will say he dropped off quite a bit last year. He was ranked 14th.
Yeah. So,
Tony, what do you think about Lamar Jackson?
Yeah. Well, first of all, if like we were talking about Kyler, I think teams can figure out his running. They can't really figure out Jackson. He's too quick. But you guys have a good argument with the whole receiver core, you know, and his arm. There was a few games with Hollywood Brown where he dropped in some passes. I know he didn't continue doing it, and that's where the problem was. But I was like, oh, dude, did you see that perfect pass, perfect catch? And they weren't always able to do that. And the whole Mark Andrews thing too. It's like, I mean, he's predicted to be, what is it this year? 6 touchdowns, 800 yards. He is a 1,200-yard tight end. So I have a feeling that they are going to put 2 and 2 together, if that's the word, an analogy I'm looking for, I don't know. Put something together that he is going to be able to connect with his wide receiver and his tight end. And probably one of you guys can explain it a little bit better than I can. I'm trying to make that comparison.
I like Lamar Jackson. I just don't love him. That's why.
Do you?
Yeah, I mean, I feel the same way, like you said about Kyler Murray. I feel the same way. And you say Lamar's only going to get better, but Kyler Murray's in the exact same scenario. He's only going to get better. He's in the same 3rd year, right? Or Lamar Jackson's I think Lamar's in his 4th year.
Lamar will be in his 4th year.
So, I mean, Kyler Murray's still on the uptrend. So, Royce, what do you have to add?
About what, Kyler? He looks weird to me. I don't know. His face is just little. He's like this tall.
He's like a child.
I feel like if I do this to him, he's out for a while. But he's got, you convinced me, though. I didn't know that he was a top, 11 weeks. He was a top quarterback. So maybe it's Arizona. It's not a big market.
I don't trust Arizona. I agree with that. I don't trust Arizona.
So maybe
nobody likes freaking Arizona, but come on. He puts up fantasy numbers. All right.
Yeah. Okay.
So, all right. So let's move on to our number 7 overall consensus quarterback, Russell Wilson. Let Russ cook. Royce, I know that's your boy. Tell me why you like Russell Wilson.
Love Russell. Always have. He's 35 at 5,000 yards every year. He's very boring, but he gets it done. A little bit of drop off at the end of the year last year. A little more concerned this year. I think they're going to run the ball a little more. But the guy stays on the field, man. He's healthy. He'll throw it. And again, he's the top guy in the red zone throwing the ball, man. He's got Metcalf. He's got Tyler Lockett, who's on my poop list, by the way. That's later. And you got the new tight end out there. I mean, he's just you plug him in, and he will get you 300 yards, 2 touchdowns every game.
Tony?
Yeah, I think they're going to stretch his season out a little more. Like you remember I drafted him, and the first 5 weeks I was oh my God, number 1 QB, I'm winning this entire thing.
Right.
But they put a lot on his shoulders, so it might be better that they up that running game a little bit. I think they may have learned a lesson that, hey, we need to make this last, make this kid last. He's not Superman. So I think he's going to have a similar season. He's not going to shoot out of the gate like he did. I wouldn't think so, but my God, do I love DK Metcalf. I argue with everybody on that guy. He's one of the top dudes, top wide receivers for sure. So I think he's going to have a similar season, but he's going to have a little bit more lasting power. So at the end of the season, he may still put up pretty big numbers, but not out of the gate like he did last year.
What do you think, John? You agree?
Yeah, I agree with that. I have him at 9 just because of for that reason. I just don't. I think they'll control it a little bit more. I don't think he's going to come out of the gate on fire. And we all thought Tony was going to win the league last year because Russell came out so amazing. Of course, I had Dak the first couple of weeks who also did that, so I thought it was going to be Tony and me at the end. So I like everything you guys said. He's gritty. He's tough. He's always playing. He rarely gets injured, so you rarely have to worry about that. He can run. He doesn't when he doesn't have to, but when he does, it's always effective. So he'll give you a few yards there. And he's got some great weapons. I agree with Metcalf. I agree. I still like Lockett. I know he's on your poop list, but I do like him. I think he'll be okay. I don't think he's going to be great. I don't really want him on my team, but I would take Metcalf in a heartbeat.
Longevity-wise, you're right. I mean, I don't think Russell Wilson's ever missed a game in his career, so you can always count on him to be there, and that's something to hold your hat on for sure.
Right.
Yeah.
Next guy is I think we are undervaluing him a little bit overall, but Aaron Rodgers is our number 8, coming off an MVP season. He's got the same weapons. He's in probably his last year in Green Bay, and he wants to stick it to them before they trade him off to Denver. Why is he 8? Should he not be higher? What do you think, Tony?
Does anybody remember how many yards he put up last year? I know he put up a hell of a lot of touchdowns, but
I'll check for you.
I mean, what's that?
I'll check for you.
Yeah, I forget his stats right now.
He was 3rd in our league, and he put
4,300 yards and 48 touchdowns.
Yeah.
5 picks.
MVP.
That's not bad.
Are we underrating him?
I have him at 6, so I don't think I'm underrated. I think the rest of
I got a C, actually.
I also have him at 6.
I have
Tony, you had him at 8. And Royce, you had him at 10.
Yeah, I mean,
come on, boys.
All right.
Yeah, I go back and forth with this one, and he puts up the same numbers. That's not an 8. I just maybe it's more of a gut again. I think that is he going to be trying to prove? I think arrogance is going to. He's going to be a little less effective. I think he's got the arrogance, and he's going to be like, see, I'm the whole team, and I'm doing what I want to do. Let's bring in Randall Cobb.
So,
that would it's just,
yeah, I kind of agree with you, but I kind of felt like last year was his arrogant year, right? Because they drafted Love, and so he goes, "Fuck you guys! I'm going to go out and I'm going to put up." Wait, I'm sorry, I'm not allowed to say that. So he goes, "Screw you guys!" I don't know. I mean, we're getting flagged for beers and cursing.
and hairy hot dogs.
Yeah, we'll start talking about politics or something, but. But he's like, screw you guys. You drafted the quarterback. We needed a receiver. I'm going to go out and show you didn't need to draft a quarterback. And he had a career year. I mean, that year was an unbelievable year. Nobody does that twice in a row. So that's why I think there's going to be some fall off. I think
there's absolutely going to be some regression to the mean.
Yeah. I mean, he spent the summer with his girlfriend, hanging out, playing golf. He's not in a football place as much, I don't think, and not near as mad as he was last year. I think you just messed with him this year.
Agreed. All right. That is why he's our number 8. And number 9 is Ryan Tannehill, who I know John is a big fan of.
I did, but I had him at 10, so I like that you guys ranked him even higher.
Yeah. I think Ryan Tannehill is almost guaranteed to be a top 10 quarterback this year. With those weapons, if he just continues to do what he's been doing, I can't see him not being a top 10 quarterback.
He was number 9 last year on a complete running team.
Right.
Yeah.
Tony, what do you think?
I agree fully. As long as he is consistent, like he's been the past season or two, those numbers just automatically put him in the top 10. And there's a good chance he could be a 6 or 7. As long as they stay healthy, of course. And I think I still kind of feel like we're all saying possibly Henry's going to get a little less. So that just makes him throw in a little more.
And the defense is a little suspect, so man,
right.
Have to throw it.
So
I like that.
Last year he only threw for 3,800 yards, right? But he didn't. His completion percentage was awesome. 33 touchdowns, 33 passing touchdowns,
and 7 rushing.
Yeah.
40.
Yeah,
it's good.
Only 7 picks the whole season.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's with Henry going 2,000 yards.
That's for Henry running 2,000 yards.
That's crazy.
It's insanity.
Yeah.
All right. Our number 10 quarterback is the GOAT, Tom Brady. And I think that's fair, right where he's at. We've already discussed Tom Brady ad nauseum. I mean, I'm sick of talking about him, right? I mean, do we need to say any more? He's a mediocre, he's good in the first half of the season, but he's great at the end of the season.
Yeah.
Shoot, Johnny.
I'd like to say I did not have him in my top 10.
You did not.
Yes.
No.
I had him at 9. Tony, you had him at 10. And you had him at 7, Royce.
7.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that is why he barely made our top 10. So
where do you have him, John?
I have him at 12.
Who's your 10th?
Stafford.
I can see that.
And that was my next question. Did we screw anyone out of the top 10? And my first thought was 2 guys, Matt Stafford, Joe Burrow. Are these guys, should they be in the top 10? What do you think? Tony, what do you think?
Burrow definitely has the potential for sure between the weapons and who he is, what he's done, his talent. But we got to go back to a rookie who showed, maturity, and strength and talent that got a severe injury, in the middle of his stellar season. So can he overcome that? And that's a lot to ask.
He tore his ACL, his PCL, and his MCL. Now you're going to take him over all these guys on that list that we were talking about. That's a risk. Now it could pay off, but why are you going to take that risk in the 5th, 6th, 7th round whenever you're getting your quarterback? Right. Aaron Rodgers and Ryan Tannehill and Russell Wilson. These guys are solid every year. They don't get hurt. You're going to take a risk with Joe Burrow?
No, I would certainly risk him as my backup quarterback. I'll tell you
that. QB2, he's great.
I'd love to have him as QB2.
Exactly.
Yeah,
I'll agree on that.
But I'm with you. He's I think he's my 15th. If I don't have it in front of me, but I think he was my 15th quarterback. Mm-hmm. I think he's got a lot of potential. Do I think he could be top 10? Absolutely. Look at the weapons. I mean, he's got bona fide, possible amazing receivers. I wouldn't say bona fide, but they've all got potential to be incredible. Mixon, I know some of you like him, some of you don't. I love him. I think he's going to have a great year this year. The one thing that worries me about him is the line. They didn't do that much to improve the line. They just gave a bunch of young guys more experience, and they're hoping that makes it work out. I don't know.
It'll be a little better.
Yeah.
NFC South Divisional Breakdown.
All right, we're going to do our breakdown of the NFC South. Tampa Bay Bucks, New Orleans Saints, Carolina Panthers, and Atlanta Falcons. That is the order of finish according to Las Vegas. I was tasked with the Tampa Bay Bucks, and I actually kind of enjoy it because I like the Bucks. So
yeah, you do.
Let me get going here. Tampa, that's right, Tampa Bay. The defending champions, they run it back, and that usually means good things in fantasy football with the consistency. However, there are more mouths to feed in Tampa than there are stories on Florida Man. It's cancel culture at its finest because everyone is going to cancel each other out. First at running back, you have the exact same scenario as last year. Ronald Jones, Leonard Fournette. Are they going to go with the hot hand again? Oh, and let's just throw in Gio Bernard just to fuck with everyone in fantasy football. Who might come in and take the third downs away from Fournette, who had it in the beginning of the year. So this is a disaster, folks. This is a backfield that I will avoid, and I suggest you do too. Unless you can get maybe Ronald Jones in the last round, pass. Now let's look at the wide receivers. And again, it's the SOS, same old squad. Chris Godwin, Mike Evans, and Antonio Brown. Only this season we get to see AB from the get-go for the whole year. And that'll take away targets from your boys, Godwin and Evans. Now you throw in Scotty Miller, Tyler Johnson. They got a draft pick, Darden. And now it's starting to sound like I'm going to avoid these receivers all over again.
And they've got 14 tight ends that are all pretty good.
But not so fast, my friend. I did a little research. If you take a closer look at Mike Evans and Chris Godwin, pre-AB last season, you'll get some interesting results. Evans was wide receiver 34 from weeks 1 through 9. Godwin was wide receiver 37, and this is points per week. And this was without AB. Now, if you look at the breakdowns from weeks 10 through 17, when AB was a full go with them on the offense, Mike Evans was wide receiver 8, and Godwin was wide receiver 21. And for the record, Antonio Brown was wide receiver 20. So now I know Godwin was injured in the beginning of the year and getting his footing back, maybe, and that's why he had a good second half.
He's never right.
Evans was healthy, and he seemed to play a lot better when he had other guys spreading the field. Tell me something. Go ahead, John.
But didn't Tom also kind of suck in the beginning of the season, and he got better towards the second part of the season too?
He did. But was that also because Antonio Brown came onto the scene and opened things up? I'm just saying, when things opened up, it wasn't like these receivers dropped off. They actually got better. So It's just something to take into consideration. Evans was clearly better when AB came into the fold, and he is Tom Brady's bitch in the end zone. Mike Evans has had 7 straight 1,000-yard seasons. While his catches will go down and did go down last year, his TDs went up, and I think that's a trend that continues. Godwin is fully healthy and should be a good wide receiver too. Same goes for AB, who actually might get a little bit more targets this year. Bottom line, I'd take Evans in the 4th if he fell there, and I'd take Godwin or AB in the 6th or 7th round. Okay? Tight ends, you have Gronk, you have healthy OJ Howard, and you have Cameron Brate. I'll pass on all three because they're just going to vulture each other.
Yep.
Now, when you add up all those weapons, Brady looks good on paper. He's loaded with weapons, has another year under his belt with the same guys, same coach, same coordinator. The problem with Brady is that he doesn't turn the ball over. And a lot of teams get blown out, and he doesn't let them back in games. And then they stop throwing the ball. Brady won't put up the monster fantasy numbers that we're all hoping for, which would land him in the top 5. Plus, the defense is elite. The Tampa Bay Bucks are a top 3 defense, and they return their entire unit. So that's not going to help the fantasy points for Brady. That's why he's a lower-end quarterback 1, and we had him at 10. And that makes sense. I won't take Brady until I do, though, John. Okay. So, anything to add to that?
Yeah. Let's see. I think you're right with Brady. I think Brady will be better this year. He's not playing on an injured knee. I think he'll actually be better. He's playing in the same system for 2 years in a row that he admittedly was just trying to catch on to last year. I don't agree that Evans is going to be the receiver 1. I think that's going to be Godwin, and here's why. Godwin missed 4.5 games last year, and he still ended up with 65 catches, 840 yards, and 7 touchdowns. He, down the stretch, had 9 for 30, 29. Hold on, where was he at? 4 for 36 in a touch, 5 for 84 in a touch, 5 for 133 and 2 touches those last 3 games.
I totally understand, but Mike Evans still outperformed him.
No, I get it. I'm with you that Mike Evans outperformed him. I'm telling you, I think the end of the year is more indicative of what that guy's capable of, and I think he outperforms Evans this year. I really like Godwin as a sneaky guy. I want to get in like the 6th round. I'm hoping people kind of forget about him a little bit. I really want him. I want Godwin this year.
Interesting. You guys got anything more?
AB was my my crazy long shot to have more points than Evans this year. I'm going to stick with that. And you can get him late.
Really?
Yeah. So I think he's going to.
He's starting to move up on the ADPs, but yeah, you can still get him pretty late.
Yeah. So just for his value alone.
All right, Tony. New Orleans Saints. I know you used to like the Saints a lot. You're a big fan of Michael Thomas. But that's why I gave you the Saints. I want to hear what you have to say about New Orleans. Hit me.
Well, obviously, there's the QB controversy in a sense. I think Jameis Winston is edging it out. And, Taysom Hill may end up doing that same crap they've been doing where, Taysom will probably be in a little bit more, maybe doing some running, I don't know, some kind of weird play where he's going to do his, tough bicep white boy thing and plow over a few people and jump in the end zone. I don't know, but overall, I kind of like Jameis Winston. I know he's Mr. Mr. Interception, but I love the long ball for him. When he's on, he's on. Man, making some great plays. It's really a shame about Michael Thomas, and that's concerning because if he is gone 2 months, I know he's an amazing talent, but does he just jump right back in after 2 weeks? Maybe not.
You mean a year and 2 weeks?
I don't know what it is, man. It's going. Yeah, I mean it's.
They didn't play last year.
How is he going to just come in and be like, okay, let's go? And we don't even know really about the relationship issue, with the team. It's crazy. So, I'm steering away from that guy. I don't see who's going to even think of putting him like on the injured list, hanging on to him all season. It's worthless. And so I'll get into Alvin Kamara. I mean, in some ways, if he stays healthy and he's able to carry the ball, they're going to have to use him more. Who's his back? Latavius Murray's the backup. They may lean on him a little bit, but they're really going to need Kamara. So with that, What do I have here for the offensive line, man? I'm worried about these guys as much as I like them. I just have put down that they have a decent, okay offensive line. Kamara's Kamara. He's a pretty amazing. So if he's able to pull it off, he may put up good numbers and help that team out. But it still makes me nervous. The one stat that I did like, I wasn't familiar with. One, I like Troutman, the tight end. I like that kid. I think he could do something with Jameis Winston. Out of all of the negative interception / mistakes that Winston's made over the course of his 4 or 5 years, or however long he's been in the league, I forget. But his red zone to tight ends, he doesn't have one interception. Now, it doesn't mean he's throwing a ton of touchdowns in the red zone to his tight ends, but when he does, he doesn't throw interceptions. So that could be an interesting little mix there. If he stays behind the helm as the QB, Troutman might be a good pickup. That's all I'm saying. So let's go on to the wide receivers. Most people have Callaway. Marquez Callaway is the number one wide receiver, but Deontay Harris seems to be kind of more like the sure thing. He seems to be a little bit more talented, a little bit faster. He's probably slowly becoming number one. Some people are saying he's number one, but he also has a suspension. I think he has a 2-game suspension. So you got to watch out for that. Do you draft those wide receivers? I don't know, man. I mean, I would say if, again, the old Jameis Winston's going to throw downfield. So you could have somebody as like one of those guys. I really wouldn't want him as my number 2 wide receiver, but maybe a decent number 3. And you guys know how I feel about Traquan Smith. I don't understand that. I don't understand how every year he gets brought up on something. Well, you got Traquan Smith and he can do that. No, he doesn't do anything. And I'm not saying that I would do any better. I'm just saying he doesn't do crap. So why are we even talking about him? So we know how the defense is. They gave up the 5th fewest points in 2020 in led in interceptions. Again, I'm not saying I'm going to take them as a top 5 defense, but they have potential. Same thing is just like an inner team. They lost a few key players, gained a couple players, gained some newcomers, some rookies. And that could be sort of like a key thing to make up when you are depending on those rookies to make up for 2 or 3 players that you lose. It's just like what the Bengals are doing. That can be kind of scary. But when you got Cam Jordan last year didn't have a good season, so they're expecting him to step up. But him and like Lattimore, those guys are pure leaders. The reason I'm bringing up the defense is because are they going to be something that you can take as your number 1 defense? I don't know. But they have potential. I feel like just like the Colts, I feel they might be possibly like 11, 12, 13 type defense, but they're ranked more around 15. But I do, like I said, I mentioned some of those names. I do like the leadership on the defense, and they always seem to come through. So if last year, the fewest points, like I said, they're giving up, there's some potential there. But again, this whole system kind of stinks right now. They scare me, and it's a shame because we all love Alvin Kamara, but it could a little bit be in question, and we're hoping that if he stays healthy, he can definitely do some damage. But that's him and maybe Troutman are the only people I'm looking at, and I don't even know where to draft Kamara at this point. It makes me nervous. That's all I got on that one.
Kamara scored 6 touchdowns without Drew Brees. So I'm not too worried about him. I still think he can be.
Yeah, but that was the only game that he had that was good with Hill. And it was a phenomenal game. But I had him last year. And when Hill was the quarterback, he didn't do crap for me.
He had a lot of slow games.
Other than the one game that he went completely off. Which was awesome. God, that was a great day.
It hurt him in the passing game, too. I think I saw a stat with him when Hill was behind the, I think he had 10 total touches in 4 games, Kamara.
Yeah, because he doesn't dump it off.
Right, and with Breeze, I think he ended up with like 66 total catches. He only had 10 in 4 games with Hill, so that's going to hurt.
Yeah, I'm drafting 3rd in our league, and I'm not taking Kamara. I just don't trust him.
I would take him 5th or 6th,
Yeah, I don't like it. And I had him last year, and he did do great for me for the most part, except for when Hill was the quarterback. And I have this thing about not drafting people who did great for me the year before because they never do well for me.
Go down.
All right. Well, John, keep it rolling because you got the Carolina Panthers, and I'd like to hear what you got to say about them.
Panthers.
I kind of like the Panthers. If there was ever a year for Sam Darnold, make or break year, this is the year. He's got Christian McCaffrey, who can obviously catch the hell out of the ball out of the backfield. He's got two really great receivers. He's got a tight end with Darnold to Arnold written all over it. I think he's going to be better, but I think he's still going to throw a bunch of picks because I think that's who Sam Darnold is. He was like that in college. He's like that as a pro, so I don't see that getting any better.
And he sees ghosts, John.
He does see ghosts. You're absolutely right. And who was it that said that? I think he's seeing ghosts out there.
Darnold.
Darnold Jets, yeah.
No, I know Darnold was the one they were saying it about, but I can't remember who said it.
Oh.
I thought Darnold said it in an interview. He's like, I'm seeing ghosts out there, something like that.
Oh, I thought it was one of his guys that he said.
No, it was Darnold.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, good for him. I just bumped him down even further now. Yeah, I'm not drafting Darnold. I do think he can improve. I think he'll be better than he was with the Jets. I just don't think the Jets ever gave him any talent to work with. But I think he's still not anybody that I want. Maybe a late round flyer if I don't get a backup quarterback. McCaffrey, I think he's going to be back. I think he's going to be as good as he ever was. I mean, the guy catches, he runs. He's got fresh legs, though. He was out most of last year. I'm not worried about his injuries lingering. They weren't injuries that I worry about. I really like him a lot this year, but so does everyone else. And there's no way he falls to me at 3, which I'm really bummed about. They got a backup named Chuba Howard, who I think is actually a pretty good handcuff. If you don't know who he was at Oklahoma State, and he's like the leading running back ever out of Oklahoma State, I believe. He catches the ball. He runs like a beast. He's a really good backup to handcuff if you don't know that name. Wide receivers, I like the wide receivers, at least the first 2. DJ Moore, I think, is going to be the definitive number 1 this year. There was a little question between him and Robbie Anderson last year, but at the end of the year, DJ Moore had 1,193 yards. And I would say that was the most underrated 1,193 yard season I probably have ever seen. Where he fails is he just didn't get any touchdowns. He only had 4 touchdowns last year. I like him this year. I think he's going to have 100 catches. I think he's going to have about 1,200 yards. I think he's going to improve to up to as many as 10 touchdowns because I think Darnold will throw more touchdowns this year. Robbie Anderson, you guys have got me on record last year saying I really liked him, and Chuck thought I was crazy, and I really did love him last year. I like him this year. I don't love him this year, but I do like him because Darnold knows him, knew him from the Jets. And I did like the way he kind of trailed off toward the end of the year last year. Like he started out super strong and he kind of trailed off. I still see 80 catches and 1,000 yards though from him. He's as good of a number 2 receiver as there's going to be in the league. Pretty good rookies this year. Shai Smith out of South Carolina is a beast that nobody knows about. That guy catches a ton of passes. And then Terrence Marshall out of LSU, he was part of that Burrow Fest in 2019. While I would not draft either of those 2 people, I'd certainly keep an eye on them for injuries. Tight end is meh. Nothing to see here. Keep moving. Dan Arnold is maybe a streamer in a deep league, but he would be very touchdown dependent. It's just he's not going to get enough targets. You got Christian McCaffrey, Robbie Anderson, and DJ Moore, and you think you're going to throw to Dan Arnold? Let's just be good. Their defense is middle of the road for me. Rushing and passing, which again, as Royce points out, that's actually good for the rest of the fantasy world as far as their other positions. But not sure they added enough to change their rankings. They were right in the middle of the pack last year, both in run and pass defense. Their linebackers are really good. Pass rush is average, and their deep backs were suspect last year. So they did add J.C. Horn, which I like that guy. Joe Horn's little brother, and I love Joe Horn. Joe Horn was one of my every year picks as a wide receiver when he played. So I do think that group can improve with him. But all in all, I'm a little bit higher on the Carolina Panthers than I was last year, but that doesn't mean I'm going to go out and draft a lot of their people, but I definitely like their wide receiver core.
All right, excellent breakdown. Darnold to Arnold.
Darnold to Arnold, baby.
It's just not going to happen, but
yeah,
maybe
five times.
Yeah, 5 times. Yeah, but that'll be good enough, right?
It'd be the greatest 5 times that Dan Arnold will ever see.
Hit me, Royce. What do you think?
Don't sleep on Terrence Marshall Jr., rookie out of LSU. Played with Jefferson, played with Chase. If you look at his numbers in college, were phenomenal. With those 2 guys he's playing with, he's going to be the slot guy. We love the slot guys. They get the points. So, deep sleeper.
Great point. Yeah.
I love to get slotty. Let me tell you.
I love it. Love the slots.
Yeah, you do. Yeah, you do.
Slots. The slots. All right.
Okay, now we want to talk about some hot Atlanta Falcons. Woo. That is Royce's team. A fantasy Rolls-Royce. Give it to me. What do you like about Atlanta? Hit me. Let's go.
All right. Start with the quarterback, Matt Ryan. They're giving him 1 more year. They had the 4th pick. They could have picked a quarterback. They decided to take some tight end. We'll talk about in a bit. Matt Ryan is serviceable. Did you know he had the most attempts last year of any quarterback? Wow. He did. Because we'll talk about who he was throwing to. He's 36 years old. He's probably in the top 15, top 20. He doesn't get not a lot of, he doesn't run. He sits in the pocket and throws the ball. Calvin Ridley, who had them last year, got him in the 4th round, best pick in the last 20 years. Wonderful job, Royce. Thank you. He had the most air yards of anyone last year, over almost 2,100 air yards, 300 more than Diggs. The guy is a beast. He's so good. He would have been the number 1 guy coming in, even if Julio was back this year. The tight end's going to cut into that a little bit, and so is Russell Gage. Just kidding. But listen, Russell Gage is going to be the number 2 guy. Stash him away. Put him if you got a late pick him up. He may do something for you, but yeah. Kyle Pitts, he's going the number 4, I think, Chuck, tight end out of the thing. Again, I talked about this last week. If he's your number 4 tight end, he better be putting up Waller, Kittle, and Kelsey numbers. It's a big deal for a rookie. This guy hasn't played 1 snap, but if you see some of his film, though, the guy is 6'6". He is just a man-child out there, man. He's going to be fun to watch. But if you get him, God bless you. I hope he has a good season. I just don't see the top 3. I'm top 10, definitely. He's going to win Rookie of the Year. We all know that. Mike Davis, coming over from Carolina, did a good job for them when McCaffrey was down. I could see him as a serviceable number 2. He hasn't had a full season as a bell cow, so I'm a little worried about that. He was a little tired at the end of last year, but he's the number 1 guy. It's just him. So if you can grab him as your number 2, even a bench running back, I think you'll be okay. And over under is 7.5. You know what that means. I love my middle of the road teams. Ryan's going to throw it. Davis can catch the ball 2 out of the backfield. So yeah, that's my breakdown. You guys got any questions?
I do. I don't think Kyle Pitts is going to win Rookie of the Year. That's my guess. I think it's going to be one of those receivers.
I think one of the receivers will.
Yeah, Jamar Chase, maybe. What do you think, John? Is there any other rookies out there that could challenge Pitts for the Rookie of the Year?
Yeah, I definitely think the wide receivers that you mentioned. I think the running back in Denver is going to get that job.
Yeah, I like that.
Devontae.
Yeah, Devontae.
I think he is going to possibly be the Rookie of the Year. There's also the wide receiver for the Jets that I like a lot, Elijah Moore. I think he's a very polished wide receiver. He's a little injured now.
A little injured, yeah.
I'd also like to add for you, Royce, that you said who had the most attempts, and that was Matt Ryan. You know who had the most attempts for field goal kickers?
Young-Hoo Koo?
Young-Hoo Koo!
Oh, that's a whole nother show on kickers that we will not do.
I like Ryan better than most people do. He was 11th in our league last year. He was 11. He had 8 games over 50 yards, or 7 games over 50 yards. But the problem with him is he also had
50 points or 50 yards.
I'm sorry, 50 points. 7 games over 50 points. But he also had 5 games under 20 points. So it's like a feast or famine kind of guy. But his last 3 games of the season last year, 2 of which were against the Buccaneers, 61 against the Buccaneers, 51 against the Chiefs, and 43 at the Buccaneers.
Damn.
This week of the season.
Yeah.
And for those of you guys that don't play in these high-scoring quarterback leagues, a 50-point game is pretty good. It's like 20 or 25 for you guys that play DraftKings or any of those standard-type leagues. So when he says he didn't score 20 points in a few games, that's bad.
Yeah, for our league, it's bad.
Yeah, that's bad.
Yeah. Which Tony,
I like Davis.
started him for a bunch of weeks last year.
You Davis fan, Poop?
Yeah, I like him. I think he's going to do well.
You really do? You think Mike Davis is going to do well?
Why don't Mike? Yeah, I think I'm not saying he's going to be, even quite a top 10, but I think he's going to have a good, solid season. I like that kid.
Time for the poop list. These are guys that we will not be touching in the draft, either because we hate them or they scare us for whatever reason. We're not going to take them. And Tony, this is your segment. The poop list is your creation. So we're going to start with you. Who's the first guy on your poop list?
Well, I'm definitely not taking Gronk. I'm not taking tight ends in Tampa Bay. There's too many guys there. I think Gronk, I really am happy that he did well at the end of the season and the Super Bowl and all that, but I don't think there's going to be anything left in the tank there. And OJ, and I love Cameron Brate, and OJ Howard's is healthy or whatever, so I'm staying the hell away from Gronk. I'm really staying away probably from all those guys. That's my number one on the poop list. Rob Gronkowski.
Nice.
Like
He be stinky. That's a good one. I like that one a lot. I would actually stay away from all the tight ends, like you said, but Gronk's always top on that list, so good one.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, we'll go to Royce. Who is your first guy on the poop list?
Yeah, I talked about this earlier. It's Tyler Lockett for me. He's 22 ADP. That might have changed. It's just consistency with me. He had 10 touchdowns last year. Great, right? Sign me up. But 9 out of the 10 came in 4 games, and you just don't know when it's going to come.
Yeah.
And I just, you want to put him out there, and he's going to get 35 yards and 3 catches, and then next week, you bench him, and of course he'll get 3 touchdowns. I just don't like the consistency with the guy. Plus, they got the new tight end too, who's going to be taking some snaps. Metcalf's a beast. I'm going to stay away from Tyler Lockett for me.
So I believe Lockett in one game had 14 catches, 200 yards, a couple touchdowns.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Of the season.
He finished as the wide receiver 8, I believe, in most leagues. So, but he's good in best ball leagues or total points leagues. In head-to-head, he's not great because he's inconsistent. He's crap, big game. Crap, big game. And because he has so many crap games, that's why he's on your poop list. So I totally get it.
And real quick, go ahead, John.
No, go ahead, Bryce.
I was just going to say, in his last 4 games, when we had playoffs and championships, he was wide receiver 53. So at the end of the year, he just kind of conks out.
Yeah. I just think he's frustrating because you never know when to start him.
Yeah, that's the thing. You want to play your hammers, obviously, but if you need a guy in there, you want to at least have some idea you might do something.
Yeah. I think he'll be a little bit better this year, but I don't think a lot. I'm with you.
Yeah.
I'm not drafting him.
Yep.
And I know there's another guy coming that you won't draft. Give me your poop list. Who's first?
Miles Sanders.
Oh, I thought you were going to say Myles Gaskin.
Oh.
Nope. I like Myles Gaskin. Miles Sanders. I don't know if you guys know this, but Kerryon Johnson's on that team now. Jordan Howard's on that team now. And a little fella named Hurts, who's the quarterback, runs his ass off. There's just not going to be enough carries for Miles Sanders. The line's not very good. He's another one of those frustrating guys who will flash for a game or two and then do nothing for 5 games. I'm not there. I don't get it. I'm not drafting him.
I'm with you on that.
Well,
you guys agree?
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
All right, I got one. Melvin Gordon.
Oh,
100% with you.
Javonte Williams is coming, boys, and he looks explosive.
it's going to be good.
At best, this is a timeshare for Gordon, and he hasn't been real productive since his Charger days anyways. At worst, Javon takes over the backfield altogether and leaves Gordon out in the cold. and then you're left holding a 6th-round pick that is not worth the toilet paper that Sir Poops-a-Lot uses to wipe his ass.
Wow.
That's
Exciting. Wow.
Ouch.
Not a fan of Gordon. Stay away.
So what you're saying is no on Gordon? Hard to
No,
tell how you
Gordon.
feel.
Yeah.
That's rough.
All right,
Not the
Tony.
toilet paper that Tony uses.
Yeah. Tony, give me number 2 on your poop list.
This won't surprise you guys too much. It's a wide receiver, right? Before I name him, I was looking back, and this guy drives me crazy. He's one of those dudes you're like, oh, shit, I got to get somebody. I got to pick him up. And they'll have, kind of like that Lockett game. They're like, holy shit, dude, 2 touchdowns, 170 yards or whatever. And then he gets hurt. He's played an average of maybe 10 games a season the past 4 or 5 years, and now he's in Miami. And that poor guy is Will Fuller.
Oh, Will Fuller.
Drives me berserk. Another, where you just like, oh, dude, okay, I need somebody. You grab him and you get lucky, and he has this big game. And then he doesn't do shit for 6 weeks again. And you leave him in, and then you're like, I have no choice but to play him, and he gets hurt. And he misses 5 or 6, 7 games every year. Why is he even on a team? Will Fuller, shit list. It's worse than poop.
I honestly thought you were describing Sammy Watkins because I feel the exact same way about that guy.
Yeah, same thing.
They're interchangeable. Yeah.
They are.
Sammy Fuller.
Sammy Fuller. Sounds like he's full of shit.
Yeah.
Right?
But all right, Royce. Royce, bring it to me. Who's next on your poop list?
John, I love you, but this just came out a few days ago. I have nothing against this man. I think he's a wonderful person. He actually helped me win a championship 2 years ago. I know you're high on Myles Gaskin. The coach just came out and said it's going to be a 3-headed monster. I hate committee running backs. And if he's saying this now, not just 2, but 3. He didn't start the first game. Brown did. He came in second.
I noticed that.
Came in, and that's like the worst thing you want to hear. Look, he's a great running back, but if they're just gonna do, flip the coin and mix him in and out, you can't start that guy. I mean, this may change, of course. It's early. I just can't. He's only a boom bust for me now.
I agree.
But yeah, it's too bad too. He just.
It is too bad.
Obviously a different team, circumstances, he's a number 1, probably, 20 other teams, right? But if this is how they're going to do it. I'm not the coach. I'm here for obvious reasons. So I just can't trust him. I'm sorry, dude. Sorry, man.
I get it.
I agree.
Yeah.
I get it. I totally agree with you. I mean, he had a good first part of the year last year.
He did.
And then he got injured. Then he had a game right towards the end of the year where he had a shit ton of catches and a couple of touchdowns. And he was against the Raiders. I think he put up, a bunch of points against them. But I was really high on him going the year. And I saw the other day, I watched the game, and I'm like, why is Brown starting? And, they're just not going to start Myles Gaskin because they don't want to get him injured. And then 4 series later, Myles Gaskin's in. I'm like, what the hell just happened?
Right.
So,
Yeah, sometimes, John, mediocre players shine because they have no one else to put in there. And it was like one of those things where it was by default he became their running back. And he did well. I'm not going to say he sucked. He didn't suck.
No.
Pretty good. But he wore down. He got injured. And now you see there are other guys they brought in, and it's gonna be a 3-headed monster, man. I'm sorry, man. What can you say?
Fantasy-wise,
it's not good.
It's kiss of death.
Yeah. All right, Johnny Ballgame, give me another one on your poop list.
all right, let's see here. Gosh, I got a couple. I have 5 on my list. So who do I want to tell you guys about? You know what? It's Michael Thomas.
Yeah.
I just don't believe in him. He screwed his team last year. Just lingering injuries.
Yeah.
Waited to get the surgery.
Yeah.
Now it's a he said versus the team, and it's just a complete mess. And the guy is I loved him as a wide receiver in college. I loved him his first year in the pros, and I was kind of like Tony. I'm like, this guy's phenomenal, and now I'm just like, I almost just dislike him as a human. So, that it just sucks the life out of the entire Saints organization single-handedly. So he's on my.
I really thought him watching like Antonio Brown.
Yeah.
In a lot of examples of bad attitudes and arrogance would maybe, because he's a little quieter. He's not as outspoken as Antonio Brown was, or Le'Veon Bell or whatever. He's not learning a lesson. And now he's got an injury that has turned into something severe. It's heart-wrenching, dude. What a talented kid.
I know.
It's just a shame.
I got another guy that's really, really talented kid, but also a head case. Odell Beckham Jr.
He was on my list too.
Yeah. OBJ is DOA to me. Wow. All right. Nice. I drafted him last year, and he underperformed. Then he tore his ACL, and he was out for the year. And let's be real, the Browns played better after he was out.
Pretty much.
During that time, they went to a more efficient game. They ran the ball more. Baker was more efficient because he didn't feel obligated to get him the damn ball. So this year, they're going to do the same thing. They're going to spread the ball around. They're going to run it down teams' throats, and they're not going to force the ball to OBJ. And he's going to get less targets. Plus, he's coming off a torn ACL. I'm definitely not secure enough in my manhood to take OBJ in the 5th or 6th round ahead of guys like Jerry Jeudy, DJ Chark, Tyler Boyd, Deebo Samuel. No freaking way. I'm out.
Jerry Jeudy.
Yeah.
Good call.
That is a good call. Yep.
Tell us
he was on my list too.
Yeah. Don't hold anything back, Chuck. We hate that.
Yeah. Chuck's got the good sound bites. You ever notice that?
He is the best.
Yeah.
OBJ is DOA.
I'll try to throw some of those into the intro.
Quotable.
Yeah.
Why can't these guys be like Larry Fitzgerald? Man, just play the game.
Just go play.
Be you. Be a hero. Be a.
Yeah. Speaking of him, did he retire?
Model. What's that?
He hasn't retired. He's still considering coming back. Sure. Yeah, but it's not looking good. I mean, by now I think he would have already made his decision.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Okay, fellas. Once again, another fabulous show on the island. We appreciate Johnny Ballgame.
Yeah.
Sir Poops a lot. Fantasy Rolls-Royce, who does not drink beer on the cast. He's drinking Beck's. Non-alcoholic. Right, guys? We appreciate it.
We've got a message from our sponsor, Beck's non-alcoholic beer, for all the beer bloating without the fun alcoholic feelings.
And the peeing.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
All right, guys, from the island, we appreciate you. Like, comment, subscribe, and we'll see you next week. Aloha.
Peace.
Too much.
All right.
Thanks for watching. Tune in next week for another episode of Fantasy Sports Island.